And good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Education Leadership Podcast. My name is Andrew Morata, host of the podcast. Excited to be with you. This is not our normal hour. We're a little early here on a Saturday morning. So thank you for joining us. Thanks for jumping in live to the show. If you are watching live, say hello. Let us know where you're coming from. Maybe it's from Staten Island, my old stomping ground and home of today's guests, or maybe you're coming from anywhere in the country. So happy to be with you. Proud member of the Education Podcast Network, Voice Ed Radio Canada. Wherever you're taking in your podcast, we appreciate your support. And again, jump in, let us know where you're coming from, and say hello this morning. I do want to thank the sponsor of today's show, IXL Learning. It is a personalized learning system. It's incredible. I'm going to ask today's guest, Doug Elwell, a little bit about it. He's a math teacher in Staten Island. But if you're a teacher and you haven't heard of IXL, the link is in the show notes, and tremendous tool to help reach students. So I do want to thank IXL for sponsoring the show. And I also wanted to announce two different sessions I have coming up. One is exactly a week from today, Write My Book Seminar. I'm going to play a little something here if you're watching. And the second one is our Dad Summit coming in July. So I'm going to post these right now if you're tuning in. This is next Saturday, the Write My Book Summit. It's at 9:30 Eastern Time. You're interested in writing that book, join us. And this is the Dads, Leaders, and Father Figures Summit. This is going to be in Binghamton, New York, working their way through it. We're going to bring dads together, talk about leadership, talk about life, and talk about being dads. So that's coming up in July. I will put both of those links in the show notes for your information. So those things are both coming up. Let's get started here on today's podcast. Again, Education, Leadership, and Beyond. Our guest today is Doug Elwell. Doug is a teacher. Doug is a former Division I men's basketball player. He's a coach. He's a trainer. He is doing a lot of things to make a positive impact on the lives of kids, the lives of those he is around. And I'm excited to talk with him today. Longtime friend, a lot of circles connected there, Doug, Staten Island. So our opening topic is the next level. I watched Doug as a youngster coming up in elementary school, Monsignor Farrell High School, and Doug took it to the next level. He had a chance to play Division I basketball in his hometown, right? And that is a tremendous accomplishment. What are the things that you're going through right now to take it to the next level? I have a friend right now. Shout out to George Sedarius. He's running the London Marathon today. My brother just took a new job in another company. Paul, shout out in Minnesota. People taking it to the next level. This book writing seminar next Saturday. Maybe you're interested in writing that book. Maybe you're interested in wanting to do that, the next level. So what are some of your secrets? What are some of your things? I'm going to ask Doug about that. But whatever it is in your life that you're knocking on the door, you're scratching at, you're thinking about, let's talk about taking it to the next level and some things that you could do there. So, all right, enough of me talking. Let's bring today's guest in live from Staten Island. Doug, welcome to the podcast.
What's up, Andrew? Good to see you, buddy.
Good to see you. I appreciate the early morning hours. I know you got kids. I know you got juggling, but I appreciate your flexibility.
Absolutely. No, this is actually late for me.
You're already approaching lunchtime.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, friends, this is Doug Elwell from Staten Island. Again, a teacher, a coach, a trainer. Doug, introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing these days.
So again, like Andrew said, my name is Doug Elwell. Staten Island, born and raised. I'll be 37 next month, so I've been around Staten Island for a long time. Got the grays in my beard now to go through it, I was, like you said, I was a Division I basketball player, high school basketball player, all those things, all those years. But now I have a bunch of different roles now as a high school coach, as a trainer for kids from third grade all the way up to pros. And also now a teacher as well, which we'll get into and talk about. But it's been a wild journey, and then now probably wearing the most important hat of all, which is his dad. those things. It's just a whirlwind of emotions and you know, daily basis. You know, anything could happen. So it's pretty intense. It's pretty insane, but wouldn't want it any other way. So
Yeah. Surviving and thriving is real, Doug, in so many ways. And, you going through it here, 37, third kid on the way. So congratulations.
thank you.
Um, Doug, the opening concept was about taking it to the next level. Before we start talking about, your teaching and all of that, like, what are some things that you would recommend to people watching that want to take it to the next level? Some things that maybe you did in terms of basketball, but that can translate maybe into other areas. Again, an elite group that played Division I basketball. You were captain on the team. Talk to me about some things taking it to the next level.
I think there's three words that really will get you to the next level in whatever you want to do. The first word would probably be passion. You have to be passionate about something. So, as a young kid, I was very passionate about basketball. I was very passionate about life. So, it was something that I just wanted to do. So I was passionate about it. The second word would probably be hardworking. You have to work hard to get what you want. And a lot of people try to take the easy way out, try to do the lesser of evils and stuff like that to try to get to where they want to go. But unfortunately, you know, the cream always rises to the top, as a bunch of people used to say during my childhood and stuff like that. So, you always got to figure out that if you work hard, most likely, good things will happen to you, and you go through those experiences of working hard, and now all of a sudden, you're in a place that you're happy with. And the last one probably be dedication. Being dedicated to your craft. Whether it's teaching, whether it's coaching, whether it's playing, whether it's working at a finance company. If you're dedicated to your job, people may be above you, maybe the boss or something. They will see that, they will notice that, and they will hopefully reward you with that. And with that dedication, with that passion, with that hard working, mentality. Maybe you become the boss one day, and that's what it's all about. Is those three things I think stick out to me as things that I've experienced and used to get me to the next level. It's not easy. I'm a 6'4", 6'5". At the time, I was 160 pounds, soaking wet.
Whoa.
Division I basketball player. So I had a lot of. If you looked at a checklist of things, I didn't have a lot of them checked off. So, you had to figure out ways to get around the limitations that you had, or maybe something that was a strength of mine was a weakness to somebody else. So you have to always try to figure out the road that you can go through to get to where you want to go. But definitely, those three things probably got me to where I was in in college playing, but also now in life, I look back and probably those three things helped me to do more than just play basketball, which I think there's a lot of you know um, similarities between playing sports and succeeding in life and things like that, and being able to adapt in society and adapt every day. So I definitely think that there's a lot of things that could mesh together there that will help us out in the future if you're playing sports and thriving in those sports too.
Yeah, well said there, Doug. If you're watching the show live, jump in and say hello. Let us know where you're coming from, and certainly throw a question to Doug here. Doug, you're teaching, Staten Island Intermediate School math. I know that was one of your majors there at Wagner. Tell me about your classroom style, your classroom experience, and math is challenging for a lot of kids, and there's a lot of frustration there. Talk to me about your style and connecting with kids in the classroom.
Yeah, the funny thing is that anyone that's knows me from basketball or has known me since I'm a kid, um, I tell them I'm a teacher. They're like, "Oh, great!" They always right away assume that I'm a phys ed teacher right away.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's the first thing, because I'm a basketball player, because I coach, I train. So you must be a phys ed teacher. So then I shock everyone and tell them, no, I'm a math teacher, and the faces I get from that is just comedy alone. I probably 90% of the people that go to school or have been in school before, their least favorite subject is probably math. So, and I know that, because for me, it wasn't always the same. I wasn't always like a math genius. I didn't enjoy math 24/7. It wasn't like one of those things. That was not really that was not a passion of mine back then, was math. But I had some good teachers growing up that showed me how easy math could be, and how I could help myself and help other students in the classroom. So growing up, so I definitely think that some prior teachers that I've had probably have paved the way for me to, kind of make my own philosophy of how I like to run my classroom and how I like to, interact with my students and stuff like that, especially because, um, I understand how terrible math is for some people. I get it. But my job is to, I tell this to parents at parent teacher conference and, open school nights and stuff. My job is to not make your kid love math. It's just to tolerate it enough so that they could understand it, they could do as well as they can, and we can help them get to whatever level it is that they want to get to in terms of taking the tax test, which is our in New York City is the Catholic school test, where you have to apply to get into your Catholic schools and you get ranked and all that stuff like that. So we go over curriculum for that. We go over curriculum for specialized high school exams where you can get into like Staten Island Tech and Brooklyn Tech and all those prestigious schools in the city. So just tolerating the subject itself, I think, is the first step. And by doing that, I'm telling corny jokes. I'm trying to make the kids laugh and have fun. Because at the end of the day, the only times I've really learned anything in my life is times that I've had a fun experience. You know what I mean? If you're sitting there and you're just like over and over again, like what's y equals mx plus b mean, over and over again, and you're just sitting there and drilling them with empty knowledge, it doesn't really help much. So definitely the experience in the classroom and the environment has to be a fun time, but also having that respect for the students and having the respect for me, that they know that okay, we can have fun for a few minutes, we can laugh, we can joke, but now we're back to doing what we got to do. Our state test is fastly approaching here in New York. Our state test is May 7th and May 8th. So, we're crunch time. We're up against the wall here, but at the same time, next week we have spring break. So my kids are going into next week with having 3 days of 3 more days of preparation for the state exam, and then the next week we're rolling out the state exam. So it's like the worst time of the year to have it. We the people doing these testing, like scheduling, don't really think about things like this, I guess. But at the same time, I explained to my students that if from September to now, if you did what you had to do and you listened and paid attention the way we did, and you remembered things that we had, and there's always going to be those jokes and things like that we had that may help them to remember the things that they've learned in September that they may have forgotten about. So that's kind of my style. It's just to, be a positive, uplifting voice in the classroom, but also understanding and knowing that, when it's time to work, it's time to work, and we got to get stuff done because, unfortunately in life, I wish all the time it'd be fun and games all the time, but, there are definitely experiences and times that you have to kind of, get things done that you need to get done.
Yeah.
Like being an adult is not that fun sometimes. You know what I mean? So like, and I think we're preparing them for those situations by saying, listen, you have to go into life thinking about like good things, positive things, having fun with life, but at the same time, there is this role once in a while that you have to turn on to be serious and be able to, get through the experiences you got to get through. So that's pretty much it for terms of the teaching philosophy for me. But and it's worked. I feel like it's worked over the years. I haven't had many, I haven't had parents, up at the school complaining about me or anything like that, which is always a positive in Staten Island. That's day one that that you're making it, is that no one's complaining about you. But in all seriousness, though, like my student scores are always really good on state tests and Regents exams and all that stuff growing up. So I'm pretty happy with the way I handle a classroom and be able to do certain things, and I can see it now with my kids. It's hard to um, give up that control sometimes, and like for instance, my son's in kindergarten and he's learning math and stuff like that, and I'm like, I have no idea what I'm a high school teacher, and I ex high school teacher, and I have no idea what they're working on, but like in terms of like what the approach is and where it's going, But now, from September to now, I see where the approach was. I see where it was going because my son is exceptional in math. He knows exactly what's going on, and
Wow.
he's doing a great job of reading. He's doing a great job of writing. So, like, it makes it not like it's nice to see that there's some kind of at the younger ages especially, there's some kind of method to the madness. You know what I mean? Like, why are we doing what we're doing? What's the point of this? That kind of thing. And sometimes as teachers, you kind of sit there and that might be a whole day for you. It's like, what am I doing here? Like, where's my purpose here? Because, maybe just a bad day or something like that, but one of the things I always tell, new teachers that are coming into the building, whether it's my new school or my old school, I always told them, if I give them any advice, was just make sure that the kids never know that you're having a bad day. Never let them know.
Great point.
Any day you go in there, it's like, it's a normal day. It's another day. Try not to, and you want to be human as well. Obviously, you want to have emotions with them, but at the same time, you never want to have outside, experiences or outside pressures taken out on the kids or any kind of, back and forth or anything like that. So I think that's maybe the hardest thing as a teacher is, for me, because I don't take what's going on outside in my life in the classroom. So that's probably the hardest thing I think is just trying to, um, go through every day like, you're in Disney World, and I think that's a big thing for the especially the young kids. They're very naive sometimes. So to understand that you're going through something at home or a personal thing that's happening, they may not understand that, so, and you don't want to, um, show too many emotions because you don't want them feeling that, something's wrong or something like that. You always want to kind of be positive with them. So I think that's one of the hardest challenges as a teacher.
Doug, is that something you took from your time playing college basketball, that if you had stuff going on outside, once you stepped on the court, you had to perform, you had to play, you had to be ready? Is that something that you learned to block out through basketball?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think a lot of people also too, like, my wife's also an educator. She's been an educator for a little bit longer than me, but we always had these conversations, whether it's at home or relatives of mine who are also teachers. My sister's a teacher, my mother-in-law's a teacher. People at school that I'm working with, and one of the biggest fears that people have as teachers is being observed, and you know, and they're phenomenal teachers. So I always question myself. Like, even I have a few co-teachers I work with, and a few colleagues I have now that are phenomenal teachers, but they are like they panic and get nervous when there's going to be observation coming up, even if they know it's happening. And I'm like, you guys are phenomenal at your job. What do you care if someone comes into your room and watches you teach what you're doing? You're doing a great job. So what's the difference? And I think that's one of the things I noticed when I was younger with teaching was, going on interviews and going and teaching and sitting in front of a room of 34 kids and having everyone's eyes on you, or doing PDs with peers that are in the school with you, all that kind of stuff. You sit there and you think about it and you're like, I only have to talk in front of 30 people. It's not that bad. I'll take it. I played in front of 20,000 in college, so I had way more eyes. I had 40,000 eyes on me in college. I only have 60 here.
Not
I'll
a
take
problem.
it. So I think that's one of the things that I think, from my opening, I think that there's a lot of connections that you can make between sports and the real life. And I think that that's one of them where, someone like myself who, has been able to go through playing in those big arenas and stuff like that. When I go through normal everyday life stuff, I'm not bothered by little things. I'm more fixated on the end goal that I'm worried about the most than sitting there worrying about like little things here or there. The little things here and there are not really important to me because I'm already taking care of them in my head. I already have them done. It's the bigger things that my goals are at that I'm looking at that I'm trying to get to. And I think that's one of the things in education that happens all the time. Like an observation, you can come in my room anytime you want. I don't care. I'm not going to be any different. I'm not going to be putting on a show for you. I'm going to do exactly what I do all the time because that's my style and that's what I do. You know what I mean? So I think that's definitely something that I've grown over the years to understand. I think definitely from playing in college and experiencing those type of environments that definitely helps you kind of block out everything. But I think at the same time, it's just the mentality of just being able to like thrive under pressure and be able to just just adapt on the fly. You know what I mean? Like even the parenting stuff. This is sometimes it's wild. You know what I mean? Like some things are going on in the house, and someone's over here, someone's over there, and things are being thrown across the room or something like that. Like it's just you can't prepare for it. You know what I mean? So
They're doing good now during the podcast. They're giving you some quiet time.
my wife's she's an MVP of the house, so
No duty.
she's killing it right now. But I can hear them downstairs. But the funny thing is that when you're going through all these things, you don't think about at the time how much that other stuff is actually going to help you down the road.
Yeah.
So for me as an educator now, as a mentor, as a coach, whatever, I try to stress that to the kids I'm with, whether it's in the classroom or on the court, because they don't understand that even though this practice sucks right now, this is going to make it so much easier down the road that you're understanding what hard work looks like, and there's a deadline for a thing at your job, and now everyone's in crunch time and everyone's panicking, running around. You've already did the hardest stuff in your life already. This is easy. It's just work. You know what I mean? And to be able to adapt to that and be able to use that to um, get done what you need to get done is a big difference. And I tell the kids about my personal experiences before and being able to play in those kind of situations and all that kind of stuff. And there is nothing like playing in front of that many people. I was just talking to my friends about it the other day because shout out Wagner. Wagner was in the March Madness tournament this year, and you go to play at home.
Seahawks, baby.
Yep, you go to play at home, and at home you fit 2,500 people in the gym at Wagner. It's not that many, you know what I mean? But you go play in a stage like that when there's 40,000 people, and then all millions of people watching at home. There's a big difference doing that. So I think I have a head up on some people too from that standpoint where I'm not bothered by as much as some people are. So yeah, I think that definitely that they all go hand in hand together, and helps you become a better person overall.
For sure. For sure. Doug, just talk a little bit about Wagner again. Yeah, they made the tournament. You were a standout player in high school. Staten Island can be a small place sometimes, right? With a big microscope, and you were a big name there. Uh, Doug, I'm just having a flashback. I think you were the altar server at my wedding. Am I correct there that you? That's a little known fact. It just popped in my head. I remember that. St. Clair's, yeah.
Yeah, that's not for
Um, but Doug, did you think about, hey, I want to get out of Staten Island to get out of that microscope a little bit, or Wagner? Tell me about that decision to stay in Staten Island, and certainly those eyes stayed on you for sure.
Yeah, so it was looking back at it. Again, I think that everything happens for a reason. I think everything manifests the way it manifests, and things happen the way they happen. And I think that if I went back in time and I was 17 again, I may not have went to Wagner just for
Yeah.
that simple reason that, like you said, like I've been here my whole life just to experience something different, because I do enjoy, like when we go on vacations and stuff, I do enjoy like seeing something new. You know what I mean? I think that that's really important to kind of venture out and be a little more adventurous. But I definitely did not do that as a kid. I stayed local. I stayed here. But one of the things that I would do if I did change things, I would probably go away just to experience, like I said, something different, different people. But at the same time, I do think that, everything does happen for a reason. So I made a decision at 17, 16 to do what I did, and it's manifested into the life I have now. So I definitely think that that's important. But for me at the time, it was kind of like they offered me a full scholarship at the age of 15, going on 16. So I was very young. I was only a sophomore in high school when they offered me a scholarship.
Wow.
So I was very, very, very not confused, but I was just shocked because I didn't know that that's what happened. I didn't know how the process went. And because of that, I was more, I think, just excited about the situation and excited about the moment. And, Coach Dean, who was a fantastic basketball coach, he coached at a lot of high levels. Close the door. Close the door. Thank you, buddy. They're playing hide and seek now. So his room's off limits now. But Coach Dean, was able to express to me how important I was to the program moving forward, and how much that he saw in me, and how much he felt that I could, be a impact player in the program. And, from having his pedigree that he had coaching at Marquette, coaching at Siena, coaching at Lamar, all those teams going to the tournament, I felt really good about myself. So I said, you know what? I was like, if this guy trusts me, like, and he has this, opinion about me, like, obviously I must be doing something right, but at the same time, like, I felt good about it, and the one thing that I don't like about college sports, which I'm sure we'll get into at some point in the next few minutes here, but it's definitely completely different now than it was. It's even worse now.
Yeah.
But it's a business. It's a business, and he gave me a timeline of how when I needed to let him know by if I was taking the scholarship or not, and when he told me that, in the same sentence, he said, it's not the end of the world if you don't want to take it right now. It'll still be there, but if we see someone that's better than you, and we feel like they fit our program, we're going to offer them the scholarship as well. And then at that point, it becomes whoever takes it first. So then, like, I'm not a big gambling guy. Like, I don't gamble. I don't bet really, and it's a big gamble to take. Do you know what I mean? Like
To pass it up.
Yeah, and to know that, and now you're trusting again. At the time, I'm 15, 16 years old. I'm trusting my work ethic at that age to be able to recreate this in other programs and other universities, other scenarios, and I don't know if that's going to happen or not. I have this in front of me, like what's the famous saying that two in a hand's worth more than one in the bush, right? That's the whatever. But I was like, you know what, I can't pass this up. It's like, what am I going to do? Like, and I knew my parents were not, we didn't come from a wealthy background, so to have a full scholarship to college, where they were also already telling me that if I wanted to stay for a fifth year, where I could either coach,
You can take a pause here. You got a big game of hide and seek going on, man. I mean, you must have a good spot to hide in that room.
They want to play iPads now. That's what I do. So, 15 minutes. So basically, with the way I felt about it, it was like, what am I going to do? Like I have this, I have this option too. They told me that I could, go to school for 5 years instead of 4, and I could redshirt 1 year. And if I don't redshirt, then I could be assistant coach and like a graduate assistant my last year. And now they're going to pay for my master's degree too. So now anything that I needed was right in that package.
Yeah. In your backyard.
My bachelor's degree, my master's degree, everything taken care of, everything paid for. My parents not having to worry about paying for anything for me. I wouldn't be a burden moving forward. Whatever I decided to do in college, whatever it was, and it gave me the option to also stay around family and stay around my friends and stuff. So, it kind of just threw me to a loop, and I wasn't expecting it. And I just kind of, I don't want to say I panicked with it, but it was more like I was just excited for the moment, and then just took it. And then, the other problem was that I kept playing AAU travel ball, and I kept, traveling the country playing, and I got better and better, and I started getting, offers and recruitment still from bigger schools. And then I was like, oh man, like, what did I do? Like, but at the same time, again, I thought in my head, okay, well, if I'm getting recruited by these schools and Wagner's a smaller school than that, then I should be able to be a pretty productive player for that program. So that's kind of where my head went at that point. But there were some big offers that I turned down to play in certain systems that I, probably looking back now, kick myself for. But again, I think that's what life's about, is making choices, and when you make the choice, it's a ripple effect of other choices, and being able to sit here now in my son's room to talk to you got me to this point. So any decision I made prior to this, good or bad, got me to this point, and all I can do now is just look back on those things and say, you know what, that was a good experience. I got me to where I am.
Yeah, for sure. Doug, a lot of people watching live. Again, jump in the show, say hello. Vito Quaglia, Scranton, Pennsylvania, watching. He'll be starting a podcast soon. Doug, maybe we'll connect you with Vito as well as an educator. Doug, along those lines, again, Mike Dean is a pretty interesting personality. Your college coach. I had a chance to be on the court with him as the coach, and he had the famous seatbelt thing in Staten Island there. What are some lessons that you took from Coach Dean, in your life now as an adult, as a coach, as a parent? Because he was, you could put in a lot of adjectives in there: fiery, energetic, very funny too. But what are some lessons you learned from Coach Dean?
Well, that's one of the things that, like, because a lot of people watch me play in college, and the first thing they would always say is, "Man, that guy he's crazy."
He's crazy.
And because in Staten Island, like, you know how it is here, it's a lot of people here are scared to yell at the kids and stuff like that because the parents are just as bad as it's crazy. So for some people to experience that and see one of their own being like put through the ringer like that was kind of rough. I was, but again, because I guess my makeup and the way I was able to handle it. So anytime that there was something that really was like, someone was getting yelled at, it was most likely me. I got yelled at for other guys' mistakes and stuff like that too, because I could take it. You know what I mean? I could take it, and I didn't mind taking it because, it was what it was. But definitely to like talk on that point is like he had two different personalities almost. Like you said, he was very funny, and off the court,
The
he
best.
he may have been the most genuine,
The
nicest
best.
guy I've ever been around, and at the same time could be the most intense human being
Yes.
at the drop of a dime. And one of the coolest things that I remember from my experience at Wagner was, we would have all these times, these talks and these conversations and stuff after a win, after a loss, or whatever it was. And he always reminded us that, like, I do this now to this day. And I think that's some things that everyone should kind of take into consideration is like, I had to find it. If I can find it, I'll send it to you. But there was this article that basically stated that, like, all these different scenarios, and at the same time, the most important people every time in those scenarios and situations were the people that no one thought about. So, like, when you're like in the locker room or you're at on campus at school, the first people that you should be making sure that their day is great and they're saying hello to and all that stuff are like custodians and security workers and things like that like are doing a job that no one wants to do. So like the thankfulness of people that are never thanked. So I think that's one of the biggest things I took away from that. So in my school, I take that because I make sure that my floors are completely clean. There's no garbage on my floors because, like, you know I always thought back to that, like when my coach Dean said, like, that those guys, the most important people in the building are the people that are working the hardest. Which you're working hard, but there's a guy cleaning up throw up. There's a guy cleaning up this. That's way harder than teaching a lesson, in my opinion. So I always took that into my life, where I always appreciated the people doing the lowest job on the totem pole, which it seems like. So I think that's one thing that he taught us all the time was, like, respecting and really going above and beyond for those kind of people. And I think that those kind of talks and stuff helped us out to understand that there's a bigger responsibility for you in the world, rather than just like playing basketball or going to school, whatever. It was just being a kind person. That's for a lot of people that's unfortunately a trait they need to learn as well. Not just should be automatic in life that you're just respecting everybody, but unfortunately it doesn't work that way. But things like that, those experiences really, I think, help mold us as growing up to adults that, like, understood what life was really about. And it was a tough situation. We all came from different backgrounds. We all had different ways of growing up, and different family members, and different ethnicities, and for all of us to be on the same roof and live together and all that kind of stuff like that. And but we all shared the same, like, bonds like that, because we all experienced the same kind of things with what his teaching was, and all that kind of stuff. And other things that I remember too, like, he would, and this is not even, I'm not even exaggerating on this, he would go into the cafeteria, right, at, let's say, 11 o'clock, and our practice was at 3, right? He would go and he would sit in the cafeteria from 11 to like 2. And what he would do is every single day he would start eating lunch, and sometimes we eat with him, whatever. We didn't want to eat with him, we could just walk away from him, whatever. It wouldn't matter. But he would talk to almost every single table in the cafeteria
Wow.
filled with students, no matter if they were in theater, no matter if they were baseball players, no matter if they were football players, water polo players, swimmers. They were just regular students that went to school. He made sure that he went around and spoke to and sat down with, like, he would sit down for no reason at tables, and people would just be like, what's this guy doing? And he would just immerse himself in the conversation of what was happening. And then he would take his wife to the play. He would take his wife to a baseball game. He would immerse himself in the campus. And I did hear, unfortunately, when he was let go my senior year, after I had finished playing my last game, the people that came in after him, who all phenomenal basketball coaches. Coach Dan Hurley was, on campus right after him. So all phenomenal basketball coaches, but they didn't have that part of it. Do you know what I mean? They didn't. They were used. Not. I wouldn't say they were using it, because they were, but at the same time, Wagner for them was a stepping stone to something else.
Yeah.
Gene wanted to make that home. So what he did was he put himself in that campus and went around and like really got into like talking to kids and talking to the adults and making relationships with people that that I realized, wow, like, listen, like, because for us it was like, you sat with the basketball players or the football players. That was really it. You didn't really do anything else. Like, that was what you're supposed to do. Then one day I was like walking over and I saw him sitting with like the people in the theater, and I'm like, what are you sitting over there for? Like, what are you doing? Like, whatever. He's like, listen, man. He's like, someday, any of these people could be my boss. He's like, so I'm going around talking to everybody, because I always want to just learn about people, learn about their backgrounds and whatever. So it was just very, it just wasn't, things he did outside of basketball were just, just amazing stuff that you would never think about. You know what I mean? And now, to see that experiences that I'm going through probably are very similar to what he was teaching then. About, like, I'm teaching my son now, be nice to everybody, respect everybody, whatever, say hi to everybody, hold the door for people. Things like that are things that he was teaching us, and at 17, 18, 19, 20 years old. So definitely, it definitely gets a bad rap, because he was just so different on so many different levels. But he, in my opinion, he really meant well, and just had a really difficult way of expressing to you how he felt about you. So I still talk to him almost, I would say, every other month or so.
Beautiful.
So I still talk to him now.
We'll make sure we send him this podcast, because I was a fan of his as well. Shout out to Andrew Myra watching, good friend of the program. Andrew, thanks for tuning in. Doug, you got spring break here in front of you. You're a teacher, you're coaching, surviving and thriving is real, Doug. How are you going to recharge? What are some things that you're going to do this week to take care of your own health, to have that energy for all the people that you're reaching these days? Talk to me about recharging and your health this week.
Yeah, so I actually did that a little bit a couple weeks ago too. I was up in Mohonk, New York, and my wife, my kids, my mother-in-law, father-in-law, my sister-in-law, brother-in-law, and their spouses, we all went up to Mohonk for the weekend.
Beautiful.
Didn't know when we went there that there was going to be no televisions in the room, and Wi-Fi would be spotty and all that kind of stuff. So, I think that one of the things that happens is we get so invested in our technology and phones and all that kind of stuff. And I'm 100% guilty of it. I think that's one of the biggest things, is to kind of step away from those things for a little bit and kind of recharge that way, where you're not staring at a phone all day or staring at a computer screen all day, and kind of doing things outside or doing things with your family, and kind of doing that. Like, my son wants to go see this weekend. We'll see when we can fit it in, but wants to go see King Kong versus Godzilla in the movie theater. So we'll probably do that at some point. And my daughter does gymnastics, so we'll probably go to gymnastics class at some point this week. And so I think just spending time with my family is really important, because I think it shows me why I do what I do. I hustle and grind. My wife does the same thing. She owns her own business as well on the side from teaching. She owns a balloon decorating company. So most of the weekends we're up this early already because we're already setting up for parties and stuff at different places on Staten Island or the city or Jersey. So we hustle and grind a lot. So between the two of us, it's nice sometimes just to like kind of just chill, just kind of sit back and watch the kids doing something or an event going on that we can attend as a family or something like that. So I think just things like that, just showing why you're doing what you're doing is just important. Like teaching obviously it's an everyday thing. You don't really get a break from it, but the coaching and the training and stuff like that, that stuff I think puts you over the top and puts you a little more on your plate. And it may be good from time to time financially, depending on the situations, but you're seeing why you're doing it because your family needs it or your family appreciates it and stuff like that. So I think just recharging um, with the family, being able to kind of just settle down and just turn technology off and just kind of be with each other and be in a moment.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, good luck and enjoy it. Again, not only your day jobs, your children, you got both have outside kind of jobs you're doing. Doug, this 40 minutes went fast here. Anything I didn't ask you about that you wanted to talk about that you wanted to share?
Not really. Just with the training aspect of basketball and the coaching aspect of basketball, I've been very blessed to be around some great kids and some great families, and help them to get to their next level that they want to get to. So shout out to all the kids and parents that have trusted me with their kids over the years that I've been able to be a part of, and a lot of the people that I train and work with. We say this all the time with them and new people I train. I try to explain it to them. They become family. So anyone that I've worked with over the last few years, they know they can give me a call, and anything I drop my whatever I was doing to help them out. I have ex players now that are at the age now where they're getting their jobs and stuff like that, so they're putting me down as references and things like that. And one of my players that was a really hardworking player for my JV team when we won a championship back in 2013 just called me this beginning of this school year this year because he got a job as a teacher and wanted to thank me for all the things I did for him. And
Wow,
and
wow,
he also became the basketball coach at the school. So
nice.
during the season, he was picking my brain a lot and asking a lot of questions and stuff like that. And he kept saying, "I'm sorry to bother you." I'm like, "You're not bothering me, man." I was like, "This is literally full circle moment where like the kids I've started coaching now are becoming men or women, whatever, and now they need help, navigating what I've already been able to navigate through. So it just feels great, and I appreciate the people that have been able to support me through the years and be able to someone like yourself or someone like Danny Shinad, who I don't know if you know Danny, who runs Nobody Cares Sports on Staten Island. So he does a lot of great things for the community and stuff like that. He always has me involved with it because he knows how passionate I am about the community. So there's a lot of just good people that are filling my life, and I really appreciate them. And that's what makes me who I am. And that's what makes me be able to do the things I do. So my wife is she she has, you have no idea, man. She puts up with so much, and she doesn't show it on the outside, but I'm sure on the inside it eats her up sometimes how much I'm doing and what I'm participating in and all that kind of stuff. But she's the MVP of our family. She's the backbone here. She's the reason why that we're in the positions we're in. So I really can't say enough great things about her and all the support that she's given me over the last few years too, doing all the stuff that I'm doing. So
Love it, Doug. Keep it up. Keep up the work because it is making an impact. And again, please leave Doug a comment in here. Doug, before we get to rapid fire, I talk about surviving and thriving. Let's take out the and. You said some great things this morning: passion, hard work, dedication. I love what you talked about, the immersion about Coach Dean. But what word are you putting in there? What mindset, what strategy, what technique are you? We take out the word and, surviving blank thriving. What's that word for you? What's that action for you?
wild, surviving while thriving.
Wow, I love it. Talk to me more about that.
I think that the only way to move forward in life is to be able to just continue doing what you're doing and moving forward. But in order to thrive, you got to survive, right? So I think that as you're going through different situations and different processes, There's a lot of challenges that come in. So, even though there's challenges happening, you still have to continue being, the person you are, whether it's you're a dad, whether you're a coach, whether you're a trainer, whether you're a teacher. So I think that I think those two words really go hand in hand well. But I think that, surviving while thriving, your head is above the water. You're kind of in quicksand a little bit, but you're getting yourself out of it, or things like that. I feel like that's a really good word to put there. I think on a daily basis, I feel like I'm doing that.
I like it.
I feel like I'm thriving, but sometimes I'm not surely, I'm not really there yet, but we're getting there.
It's a journey. It's a journey for sure. Well, this has been fun, Doug. Let's get to rapid fire. I know you got kids there ready to go with you, and it's a busy Saturday. Again, I appreciate your flexibility in making this happen. Doug, this is like Friday getting to the game on Staten Island. Quick, rapid answers. Here we go. You ready?
Ready.
Last book you read?
Toughness, Jay Billis.
Yeah, he's great. Love it. Last movie you saw?
Oh boy. In the movie theater, it was Paw Patrol: Mighty Force.
Last concert you went to?
I'm not a concert person, so I think it was Blink 182 Weezer.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Okay.
Long time ago.
Staten Island's got a ton of great places to eat. Your favorite dish?
Oh man, it's probably going to be tortellini Alfredo with a little broccoli in there.
Nice. Favorite place to travel?
Long Beach Island, New Jersey.
Yeah, baby. This summer, I will fill in the blank.
Ooh. I will. I will try to recharge. It's been a long year, I feel like, in terms of education and all the stuff that I've been doing. And with, again, I forgot. I will enjoy my new baby. That's what I'll be enjoying, my new baby. I almost forgot. But yeah, so that will definitely be something that we're going to be doing, enjoying the family time with the new baby. So it'll be good stuff.
God bless you there. A pet peeve of yours?
Pet peeve would probably be talking more than working. A lot of kids that I train and work with do a lot of talking. They don't work as hard. So I feel like that's one of the biggest things for me.
Yeah. The world they're growing up in is a little different with all that video. Everybody's watching everybody else instead of doing it. I hear you. You're on the podcast now, but 8 a.m. on Saturday morning, I feel fill in the blank.
I feel ready. There's a lot that goes on our Saturdays and Sundays, so it's basically just trying to figure out what to do first and how to attack the day going forward. So definitely ready.
Best part of Staten Island?
I'd say the passion for the people have.
Yeah.
We have whether it's whatever passion you have in your life, the people here have it by times it by 100. So if it's food that they like, they're passionate about their food. If it's sports they like, they're passionate about their sports. If it's family, they're passionate about their family. So I think that one thing in Staten Island we always get, the knock on being these crazy people all the time. And I think that that's because we're just very passionate about things that we enjoy and the things we like. So I think that's one of the things. I think passionate would be probably number one thing. They're passionate about a lot. They're passionate about, you know this very well, they're passionate about hating officials and refs. They're one of a kind here in Staten Island.
That's a good way to put it. Well, the next question. What's the worst part of Staten Island?
I guess the stereotypes. Are the worst thing about Staten Island, because especially growing up being, and now coaching and training and stuff, the one thing that we've always never gotten respect for is basketball. We've gotten a lot of respect for football. We've got a lot of respect for baseball, those kind of sports like that. We have a lot of players that have gone on to professional careers in those two. But we never really had any basketball players. So I think that, one knock about us is always the basketball. So I think that that's, maybe the stereotype there about not really having basketball players that are able to compete at a high level. So. Yeah.
Well, you were one of the people that broke that stereotype, and I know there was a lot of lights on you because of that.
It took us getting out off of Staten Island to do that. That's what
exactly. Something about Doug Elwell that people do not know about.
I guess now they do, but one of the things that would be I was a math major in college. I think that's something that people don't really know about me. I had a 4.0 GPA too, so I was very very smart back in the day. So
Yeah.
it was just I think most of the time, especially basketball, I feel like that those two things always don't mesh. Where you're worried, you're learning and doing all your stuff, but you're known for education stuff instead of your sports stuff. And my senior year, I actually got an award at graduation for the highest GPA in the math program.
Wow.
So I went up to I went up to I went up to the stage and got my award, and I was standing with President Grassi at the time, who was a great human being, great man, and he obviously came to all the basketball games and knew us from playing and everything. He always had conversations with us, and he turned to me and goes, "I don't think I've ever given one of these to a basketball player." So
Wow. Wow.
I think he was just half joking, but at the same time, it just felt good that I have I think it's one of the hidden talents I have is that something like math to me is easy and things like that. So definitely something like that people probably don't know about me until they talk to me or know about my life is that I'm a math teacher. And I majored in math in college.
Something that Doug Elwell is curious about.
Um, I'm curious to see. I'm curious how parenting goes as they get older. That's it's been fun so far. It's been very uh, um, interesting, I guess you could say. There's so many different things that take place throughout the day, the week. But to see my son growing up, he's 5 now. He'll be 6 next month. And going through the processes that he's going through and the changes that he's going through, and then my daughter's 3, so now to see what the difference is between her growing up and him growing up at the same levels and stuff like that, and just kind of comparing the two of them and see what happens with the third one. So I think just curiosity would probably be just like what's next, what's bound to happen next.
Yeah, and you're adding your third baby's coming. God bless you, Doug. This has been fun. You mentioned about your coaching and the training. How can people get in touch with you if they'd like to contact you about that? What's the best way people can reach you?
Sure, on social media on Instagram. So I'm on it's at Inspire INSPIRE hoops HOOPS and underscore at the end. So that would be my tag on there. I even put up tutorial videos and different things like that, like drills and stuff that people can use. So I try to do it so that people that don't know what they're doing, or COL coaches that follow me or something like that have access to my page, they can kind of learn stuff too as they go.
Yeah, at Inspire Hoops underscore. That's Doug Elwell. Doug, again, I appreciate you. You have a quote you'd like to end us with?
I do. I have one. I saw your thing. I pulled it up because it's funny because now as an adult and I'm watching like Disney movies and movies like that, and now as an adult, and you realize how maybe adult driven they actually are compared to what they seem to be. I think that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Um, and there's one movie that I liked when I was I think it was in college. I thought it was a cute movie. I thought it was funny. And then I started watching it with my kids again. And there's a quote at the end of the movie that comes up. I don't know if you ever saw it. Meet the Robinsons. Did you ever see it?
Okay. Okay. Now.
It's a Disney movie. It's not one of the Disney princess movies, but it's one of the Disney movies that's under their Pixar, not Pixar, the other genre of movies for Disney. But there's a quote that comes up at the end that's from Walt Disney, and I think that between our conversation today, I think it's one of the biggest things that people can do is this. We keep moving forward, opening new doors and doing new things because we're curious, and curiosity keeps leading us down new paths.
Beautiful. That was well said, Doug. Yeah. Beautiful.
I think that's a big quote. I think that we should be curious. We should be trying to open all these doors and see where they lead us to. And like I said, every choice I've made, whether it be good or bad, I opened that door up and it got me to where I am. So I think that, and the movie's a cute movie. It's about a little boy who becomes an inventor, and he wants to invent all these things, and he has this big imagination, and some things seem not to work, and he keeps getting frustrated and doesn't pan out for him. So he thinks, and then it's a great movie, and it's like a perfect quote for that movie, but I feel like it's also a perfect quote for life. So definitely good stuff.
Well said, Doug. This has been fun. We had a triple overtime period here, but you have a story to share. You want to make an impact, so I'm happy to spend the time. Check him out, not only Staten Island, anywhere around the New York City, at @InspireHoops_ on Instagram. This is my friend Doug Elwell from Staten Island. Doug, I forgot that you were the altar server at my wedding, and it hit me here today. So long time Staten Islanders. Got to give a shout out to University Basketball Camp. Doug and I both deeply impacted by the leaders there, the Mazzella family, the Michalowskis family. They both had a deep impact on us. I know, Doug, you were one of their stars for sure. So, thanks for coming on the program here.
Thanks, Andrew. I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. All right, everyone, friends. This is Doug Elwell, Staten Island, New York. We're going to sign off, Doug. You stay on the line here a minute. Everyone else, we wish you a great weekend. And like Doug said, find that way to recharge, find that way to inspire others and make that impact. And I love the quote at the end, Doug, about being curious. So we're going to sign off. Keep surviving and thriving, friends. If I can help you in any way, don't hesitate to reach out at Andrew Murata21 on Twitter. And keep rolling on your journey, friends. Thanks, Doug.
Thank you.
Hang tight, bro. We got to play this here, man.